Hi everybody, welcome to this edition of Iredell-Statesville Schools EDtalks. Our guest today is the Chief of Police for the town of Troutman, Matthew Selves. Chief, thanks for being here and welcome to the show.
Well, Mr. Johnson, I appreciate you inviting me, and thank you very much, and nice to be here as well.
Well, we've got a long, productive relationship. You've been working with the school system through the town of Troutman for many years, and we do very much appreciate you and your department because you guys have always been there for us, and we do commend you for the excellent work that you and your department do. So thank you so much for being such a vital partner with us.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, the town of Troutman and the Troutman Police Department partnered back first in 2007.
Yeah.
We took over the duties at South Iredell High School, that school resource officer, and then in 2008 we moved on to taking over the duties at Troutman Middle School as well. So right. That happened right when I took the job in 2007, so it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah. And I know you are a husband and a father here and have children in the school system, so you take this personal.
Yes,
it's more than just a job.
Yes, I really do. I take it personal. Yes, I have my wife works for the school system. My kids are at West Middle and Scotts Elementary now, and one soon to be moving on to high school level.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you know, the concept of school resource officers traces its roots back to the Columbine shooting many, many years ago. And so the concept was, let's put law enforcement officers into our, at that time, high schools. And of course, we've expanded it now to include middle schools as well. But it was a dual role. They were certainly there to enforce the law and to protect the student body, but it's also a service position. And they do a lot of education in our school system. And the officers that you've placed with us do an excellent job of building relationships with kids. So as you train an SRO, how do you get them to understand the role of that job and what the expectations?
Well, you know, the role of that job is, I mean, as the school system, you know, they're training the kids for life in general, you know, through education. Well, the role of that job as the SRO is to train the kids as well, to let them know what the do's and don'ts, the rights and wrongs, and just trying to establish that good relationship, because we want them to be very, very good citizens as they get outside of the school system and get on into adult life. And so we're just really reaching out to them. And the role has changed a lot over the years. Like you said earlier, Columbine, mainly there for security because of the situation that happened. The SROs now are there to develop those relationships early on, to speak to the kids, get to know the kids, to let them know that law enforcement is there to help them and not there to punish them or anything, and try to get them to understand that later on, whenever they need our help, we're there for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely. I know in North Carolina, the Department of Public Instruction, along with the law enforcement community, tracks certain incidents of crime and violence is what it's referred to. And so in our school system, we certainly track that data too and share it with the state. A couple of the big items continues to be drugs and alcohol, possession of weapons, and the weapon that most likely is going to show up as a pocket knife. But are you seeing an increase in the amount of drug and alcohol use and abuse among teenagers in the community?
You know, what's interesting is I've noticed in the middle school level that that generation there, it's kind of dropped off a little bit. And I think we talked about this before. We're seeing a different students coming up through the middle school level, or in the schools of Troutman, we haven't seen that increase. High school level, several years ago, it was a little bit worse, but it's kind of doing the same thing. It just seems like what we're doing now on our lower levels is working as we get better up into the high school levels and stuff like that. So I think it's working. And we do those we do programs like the GREAT program in the middle school level, where it not only talks about drugs, but it also incorporates gang situations, bullying, those situations that we're trying to educate the students what to see, and don't be afraid to come forth and talk to the SRO and give them information. We're there to help them.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in the school system that we do have a program that we call SAP, Student Assistance Program. And although that program has been cut by 50% over the years, those SAP coordinators work hand in hand with the law enforcement officers throughout the school system to preemptively get involved with kids and to try to teach them the dangers of drugs and alcohol and try to educate them about making wise choices and how to avoid peer pressure and whatnot. So a lot of folks don't realize that the SROs and the counselors are working hand in hand as a team. And I do think that's having a big
Yes, it's having a big impact. And you speaking about the SAPs, our SROs do go to that training as well. I know that what you would call the recertification training too.
Yeah.
I know Officer Baker at South Iredell High School goes regularly and works hand in hand he works very well with the administrators. Sometimes it's funny, you wonder, they feel like they're more part of the school than they are law enforcement, and that's good because that gives them a sense of that they're doing something and being a part of something greater, bigger, and all that.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I think it's important for kids to look at law enforcement as not a gotcha, strictly out there enforcing the law. But it sounds a little cliche, but it's the honest truth. You guys are there to protect people and to protect property and to put yourself in harm's way to protect citizens. And that's something that we as a culture and society, I don't think we say thank you enough to our law enforcement community for that. But that thin blue line that exists between an uncivilized society and a civilized society is our law enforcement folks.
That's correct. And we always say in law enforcement, it's a challenge. You would like to see people at their best, but a lot of times you see people at their worst. You really do. And we come in there to stop the situation, handle the situation before it deteriorates and gets worse. Right. And today's the way the law enforcement is viewed by society, as we're trying to get back to the grassroots of community policing. Yeah. And again, community policing is a very big part outside of the school system, but it's also in the school system as well. The SROs have been doing community policing for years, and they wrote the book on it, and like you said, and so we're trying to get to the students. So as they get older, we've already got a good foundation with the students, but and we partnered with the community Department of Justice through grants to continue to keep the SRO at Troutman Middle School as well.
Yeah, that's one of your strengths, I might add, too. You're a phenomenal grant writer.
Thank you. I really was trained well by some people locally here, and working on grants is one of the things that I do at the department outside of many other things as well.
And it's paid big dividends because the community has a lot of resources now that would not be here had you not been successful in securing those grants.
Correct, yeah. There might have been a possibility that we would have lost our SRO at the middle school and lost that part of community policing at that level.
Yeah. Well, we do commend you. You run an excellent department, and again, the school system has just a phenomenal relationship with you guys. We know that you're there for us, and we thank you for what you do every single day for us.
Well, I appreciate that, Brady, and we appreciate the partnership through the school system. And I just want to let everybody know that if your students have an issue at any of the schools, and they want to go to the SRO, they're there for them at Troutman Middle, South Iredell, North Iredell, all over. We work well with all the schools, departments that have SROs in the school system, and don't be afraid to come and talk to those gentlemen. They're there for you.
Yeah, good advice.
Yes.
Well, thank you again, Chief. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for that.
And folks, thank you for watching. And remember now, our SROs there are in those schools to serve the students and to protect the student body. So if you do want more information or you would like access to your SRO, reach out to them and contact them at the school level. Thanks again for watching.